Hey, welcome back. This video is about our quest for shelter. By shelter, I mean somewhere where we live outside, but also the tent. I'm not going to do the tent in this episode, but we really want to talk about the way that we've sort of morphed from one type of shelter to another and finally got what we think works for us the best. So I'll show you what our problems were first, and then we'll come back with the solution.
Started with a cheap 270 with walls, worked fine until one night or one morning we got attacked by ducks. We thought we'd get smart, we put another awning out the side with a tent, but it was useless in the rain. The water came through the bottom, the tent eventually collapsed and the 270 blew away in the wind, so we learned two valuable lessons then. We bought a 270 from Bushwhacker, really good quality but very heavy and also difficult to raise the tailgate, and it wasn't really suitable for us, so we traded that in on just a 2.5 by 2.5 and that's worked really well for a few years. The only problem is you've got to put a lot of stuff inside the awning once you've set it up. So we've got a tent spreader bar that has to go in. There's also the mandatory twinkling lights that you must have. A side wall that we really needed in case of wind or sun, somewhere to change. And there's a whole heap of speakers we use, like we've got a little smart speaker and then also a large speaker to use with the projector. There's also power that's got to come out into it, and I'm not going to attach my projector screen to a tree like a savage. So what to do?
The Dirty Merc 1.1 awning. What it is, it's an old 270 awning made by Bushwhacker, but it hasn't really got anything to do with Bushwhacker except for the actual plate that's behind it. But we'll have a look. So up in here is a 2 metre by 3 metre awning. It's just one of those cheap ones from King's, and we put the whole part of the plate of the old awning up onto the new plate. We didn't need the whole thing, so we just cut the ends off it that hold the hinges for the arms on either side, and then in the middle to hold the sail track. You'll see it a little bit better. Is just a bit of sail track that goes from there to there, and that holds this thing up. One of the things that we wanted to be able to do is have some sort of privacy. So if you needed to have a shower, you had to go to the toilet, then you could do that. And we didn't really want to buy a separate toilet or separate shelter to put up on the other side of the car, just because it's a pain in the bum. So what we did is I just got a drawer slide, one that you'd use for one of those big heavy duty drawers, and we put it up the top and mounted the underside of this thing on it. So it pulls out to here, and then you've got your little room that sits here. Once you've got yourself together, you can then peg down either ends, and there's either your shower or your toilet. We don't carry a chemical toilet or anything like that. We just carry one of those things that you can use a table or storage or whatever, and that'll sit in there. And if we need to, we've got a hose with a shower setting on it. We can't use hot water on it yet, but it gives you some privacy anyway if you want to change. So I'll just put that away so I can show you the rest of the thing. We'll have a go at the awning itself now, and it's like any other awning. The difference is, instead of having one piece of material on the top as a roof, it's really got two, and that's got a lot of uses for us because we can use it as a wall for either side. We can use it to extend out either side, or we can use it to extend out the front of the tent as well if you ever need the room. Normally with the 270, we find that that's way too much room. I can't believe I'm saying it, but it is. We don't actually use it. We sit underneath the tent or underneath the awning at a table, and that's really where we do our eating and where we do our watching TV or playing on the internet or whatever it is that we do when we're camping. But anyway, I'll undo this thing first. Notoriously, when you undo these things, they just fall down. So we just put a little tiny bracket in there, and that just holds the whole thing up while you're undoing it, in case there's only one of you doing it. It's not that hard to do with one, but it just makes it a little bit easier so that you don't fall off. And the same over here. All these straps are just riveted onto this great big plate that's here. So we'll have a go at putting it out. So that's it. It goes like any other awning, I suppose. And I won't go through the motions of it, but we'll tag up the sides first so you can see what it's like when it's all stretched out. We'll go up a bit higher, and you can see here there's these little screws and nuts, and I've got 4 of those, one at each corner, and that holds the second awning up, so that if we want to, I can take that awning out and use it as a wall, or use it to double the roof space, I suppose, that I've got inside the awning. And that's what these 2 tent legs are for. They're just snapped onto the spar between the main awning's legs, and we can just pop them off. I can use them for a couple of things, mainly if I'm putting another tent out, because that means I can support it, but I can also use it over here, so that if there's a bit of wind, this thing's 3 meters wide and it suffers a bit from the wind, so I can plug one in there too, so that it can hold it up there. And if I really need to, you can see over this side, just underneath the light at the top of the tent, you can see some sail track there. This tent doesn't come with awnings, not that we've ever needed one, but if we need to, I can always put the awning up there, and then I can use those 2 tent pegs to lay it out so that it's completely waterproof underneath there and windproof as well, mainly if it's really raining, but we haven't used it like that so far. So because the power is attached around the back here into just an Anderson plug that we stuck in the back, it means that the whole of this area is powered. And so what we did is just added 4 USB connectors here. I used one of them to power some LED lights on the other side, and then this one here that powers the Google Mini Nest. The older models of the Mini Nest, the white ones, they will run properly on USBs, but the newer ones have got to use 240 volts. I don't know why, but the old ones are heaps better. So, hey Google, what time is it?
It's 7:03 a.m.
Thank you. Hey Google, stop. So that works all day. We can play music or listen to the news or whatever we want with it. This thing here is just a normal arced extension that makes sure that the awning has got a bit of a fall on it, and we make sure that that's there so that when it rains it falls off. But it just seemed too good not to put some other stuff in it. Now, because the awning's 3 meters and not 2.5, and this support only comes in 2.5, I had to add a little bit more for it. You can see I've just riveted on a little piece of aluminium up there, and that just works fine. And normally it comes with a light in it. We don't normally use this light. We use this light over here, which I've just attached on with some zip ties. It attaches to the other end up there just with a post, and then up this end, to stop it twisting, I had to put a tongue here, and the tongue just fits into a little slot that I put in the bottom of the back plate there. All of it's pre-wired. As soon as we put it up, we just plug all the wires in. So that's the one for your light. And then there's another one, this one here. It goes out to an Anderson plug that just sits here. And what we use that for is that we usually would have a table or something underneath it. So I can just plug the Anderson plug into it like that. And at the end of it is another 4 USB ports. And if they sit on the table, then you can charge your phone, you can charge your battery bank, and do whatever you want with that thing there. It just sort of sits there. You can adjust the height on it, obviously, as well. And we find that really useful as well. It's not so good when you've got the projector behind it, but you can also take this off the top and run it on the ground too, and then just connect it there, and it comes up onto the table from there. So This is a bit bougie, but we like watching the football, especially if the rugby's on, and so we've got a projector. There's a couple of different projectors we've tried. We tried the Kick-Ass 12-volt one, and it's pretty good, and we tried a little tiny King's one, but the projector light isn't really strong enough, and the quality's not that good. I think it's about 480. It says it's higher, but it's actually not. It's not that good. So we went and bit the bullet and got a 240-volt one, which we just plug into the inverter. But these are only a couple of $100. This is a Netflix one. And it's easy enough to put up as well. So we just got the clamp, and that's just from Amazon. Stick that in and connect the thing up. And then once it's there, I'll just clamp up onto there. It's pretty easy to do. And then it's got a multiple movement lock on it there, so that just locks in as well there. And then you can lock down the base of it as well. So in order to watch something, I suppose we've got to have a screen, and we just used a cheap one. Once again, I think it was Amazon or something like that, and luckily, I'm not sure what the size it is, but luckily it's just the right size to fit at the end of the awning there. And what I did is that on each one of the corners, I just got a fish hook. I cut the really sharp part of the barb off, and I put a little hole in the upright pole so that they just hook in there, one there, and then another one up there, and then we stretch it down onto the secondary holes that we've got on the bottom, like that. And there's your screen. This thing's really good. You can watch it from this side, you can watch it from the other side as well. It doesn't really matter. So I'll show you a bit of video of that when we've got it on tonight, because there's a couple of things we want to watch.
20 years, more than 80% will receive the devastating news that their cancer has ended. Now a breakthrough from scientists in America. An early trial of a new vaccine given to cancer patients following surgery and chemotherapy. 20 had pancreatic cancer.
In order to power it, I haven't put the 240-volt power on it, but I run it from there across to here and just plug it in to the 240-volt that sits here. That controls the 240-volt, plug it in there, and the whole thing draws maybe 4 amp, I suppose, maybe a little bit more than that if you've, actually no, that's about right. The whole thing draws about 4.5 amps. So here's the little sparkly lights. You've got to have the sparkly lights, of course, whenever you're camping. They're just 12 volt. The lights themselves, when the tent gets folded up or the awning gets rolled up, they just fit in the tracks where there's, on the side of the track where there's no leg. They're controlled by a little bit of hardware just to knock the voltage down in there, and a switch, and then that goes over to the 12 volt in the car. So here's what they look at night. I said at the start of the video, there's a lot of things that we don't like about the stuff that people sell you, like, for example, the awnings. With a little bit of thought, you can do a whole heap of things to your awning to make it a lot more livable when you camp. And for us, we said we wanted to have the lights already built into it, and a lot of awnings do have that, I'll give them that. But we've also got now our USB power, 12 volt power that's out there. We've got the Google Mini Nest out there if we want music, and it's all built in. It doesn't have to be put in. And the only thing we've got to put in is the projector. The sparkly lights, they just sit there. I sort of like the sparkly lights at night, and if you're out in the middle of nowhere, they look really good. But the whole thing is not really expensive. You don't have to have the Kick-Ass, you don't have to have the bushwhacker background to it, or the big aluminium plate like that, you can make one of those yourselves, or you can buy those plates that are about that wide, that long, and 2.5 or 2 meters long. If you want, the only thing you'd have to buy is the bag, the 270 bag to go to the top, and I think they're about between $100 and $200. Everything else is just cheap stuff from King's or one of the other places like that. So if you've got the time to put it together, we think it makes your life a whole heap easier. And right at the very top of the episode, I said we just don't like a lot of things, and we change things to make us suit us. I hope that you've got some tips out of this and that maybe you can use it too.